national anthems I've ever heard at a professional sporting event.
Right.
I mean, I want to say at my high school football games, we did a better job because that lady couldn't fucking sing.
No,
that
she was
embarrassing.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing. I like when they cut to the crowd and people are just like,
yeah, like, come on, like that.
I'm putting my hat back on.
Yeah, there's no one in the whole city who can belt it out a little better than that. Really?
Yeah, it was real bad.
Yeah.
But and it was
happens a lot. I feel like just like really bad singing during the national anthem. It never sounds quite right, you know. Very rarely.
Yeah, they all try to put their own little flavor.
The Super Bowl this year was amazing. I can't think of that guy's name, but I think I cried a little. And they cut to some of the players, and they're crying too. Like there's a bunch of people crying. It was very good rendition. It was amazing. It was one of the best I've ever heard.
I don't like when they switch the people around a lot. Like every single time at some events, they have a different person singing. Like the Blues found a big fat black guy who belted it out like a goddamn titan, a king, and they were like, how about you're just the anthem guy forever until you don't want to be the anthem guy anymore? And he's like, yeah. And so every game for like 20 years, it was this guy belting it out. Everybody loved him. He did a great job. And then he retired.
I like that.
Now someone else has had to fill in those shoes, you know, and
I like
it's going to be hard.
Just having a home field. I wish that umpires were like that. I wish that because I wish they were part of your community almost. You know what? Yeah, the home umpires.
So you'd have to have like two umpires, like some guy going like,
you'd have a home and a visitor crew, and it would be like a Supreme Court type situation.
Well, that's kind of fun. I like that.
And they'd be held accountable. I feel like they should be held accountable at times. There should be like an overseer, a representative from the commissioner of baseball could perhaps come down and split decisions. Or maybe the crowd could cheer to change the like I don't know, guys. Was he safe?
It's got that thing up there. It's like pump it up, and it's like got the dial going to the 10, almost there, going back, almost there.
I don't know. We have to sell like 8,000 Nathan's hot dogs to get him in there for safety. I don't know.
The people in the stands can do some sort of physical challenge to represent their team. Which way the call goes?
Tripping to 8055. That's what you think happened.
Get the beach ball all the way around the crowd without it hitting the ice, and it's a penalty.
Aqua, Kyle, you guys are both baseball fans. What happens, or is there a punishment for umpires who fuck up in a game? Like if a umpire makes a genuine call, not something that like one fan base you get screwed, something that like the baseball community is like, that was a ball, he called it a strike, that cost the Astros the game. Maybe Astros is the wrong team.
Nothing ever happens as far as I know. I mean, the other day there was an instance where I think that I'm going to get it wrong, even though I saw it 3 times, but the catcher was throwing the ball to the umpire was throwing the ball to the catcher, and the umpire thought that the catcher was trying to make him look bad by not catching it or making it so he couldn't catch it, and immediately threw him out of the game, when all it was the catcher wasn't paying attention with his hand out. And it's like, dude, you just threw a guy out of the game for literally because you misunderstood the situation, and there's no recompense, there's no get it back kind of thing. No, they stick by those guys. I've never heard of anything happening. And for that matter, in the UFC and in boxing, where you see things that the way those sports are bet on round by round, sometimes like with the live betting, it's like a criminal conspiracy. It's like in the movie Snatch, how you got Bricktop walking out and everybody's like, "What the fuck, Bricktop? You said he was going to take the top." It's like that in professional boxing. It's so akin to that you can see it. From the TV cameras, you can see it. Like some of those scorecards that come in, you don't need to be a boxing expert. You can count punches. You can count punches and know the fix is in.
One of the longest tenured refs in the NHL got fired like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, because he got caught in the middle of a game. Like everybody knows that refs like aren't 100% objective. They kind of try and call it even. Like if they've called 5 things on one team, they're going to be looking for something on the other team to try and even it up. And he got caught on a hot mic in the middle of a game, like talking to another ref, being like, "I got to get one on Nashville. They've got too many over there. I'm going to get one on Nashville." And like then he called a penalty on Nashville, and it went out, and it was like, the whole community was like, "Yeah, we kind of knew this happened, but we didn't know it was like I got to call one on Nashville," like something like almost to that extent. And yeah, he got fired.
It's like riling people on reality television up or something, you know, so they like fight or something in the episode.
I empathize with his like situation too, because like you're trying to keep it calm, And if one team is slashing 6 times in a row, like it almost makes you uncomfortable, especially like if you're at that team's home. Like it would be weird.
I've seen whole conspiracy videos talking about how the NBA has predetermined endings and stuff, and talking about how the scores move together, and I don't give a shit because it's not my thing, the NBA, but it seems like a lot of people believe that sport is fixed.
I think refs
like more than the average sport, I would say.
Yeah, didn't a couple refs get caught?
Yeah, refs have been caught fixing games like recently, 2020 something, or maybe 2010 something.
Wow,
in the NBA specifically.
Yeah,
huh.
Zach probably knows all about this.
But I guess NBA is it. Like, I don't know the rules of basketball that well, but I know if you call like 2 fouls on someone real quick, you kind of hamstring them for the rest of the game, or maybe it's 3 fouls, something like that.
So you get 5, your 6th one throws you out of the game. And, so if you're sitting there with 2 or 3 fouls, especially if it's only halfway in the game, then you need to start playing passively.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier to score against you because you can't take any more fouls.
And then I'm sure the NBA's response was like, we got him. Like George W. Bush, like, mission accomplished. We got that one guy. We took care of it. All the other refs are great.
That's exactly what they did. And there's some other refs that kind of like seemed guilty also. And of course, fans, they dig into the stats like crazy. And they're like, man, this guy calls so many fouls against the Suns. This is a statistical anomaly.
Yeah.
I think mostly the better teams win.
Oh, yeah. Like, usually.
I don't know how they could, beyond calling additional fouls, like how they could fake any other part of the game. I don't know. It's hard to make actual gameplay intent, like taking a dive or gameplay. It's like a gamer term. You know what I mean? Basketball gameplay. So to make that look like intentionally bad on purpose, or taking a dive or whatever.
Yeah, you're basically just like soft constructing it. Like, this guy's doing really well. You got to just calm him down.
I was going to say basketball is unique this way, but I take it back. It seems like every sport, most fouls are in the gray area, right? Like, Taylor, can you hold a guy back a little bit in hockey, right? If I hook you with my stick and try to get a free ride, there's like an instant of that's allowed. And then a little too much and it becomes not allowed. So the ref could really decide to call stuff or not call stuff all game long. There's opportunities to just be a little stricter. And
it's about consistency in that way, where like if the ref calls some like really strict tripping in game 1 and then he just lets him play in the second period and they're beating the hell out of each other, and then like a strict hold in the third, it's like, well, there's no consistency here. Like, you either need to establish early, like, you're going to call it like real strict, which I would as a viewer, I don't want him to do that, or you like let him play in the playoffs. And like, I watched just last night, a player slashed another player in the back of the leg so hard that like he fell, and then another player tripped the slasher, and I could almost see the ref in real time be like, that equals out. Like that. All right, we're gonna keep the play moving. That evens out. You're both bad. Like, and then kind of kept it flowing. Whereas in a regular season game, that probably would have been matching minors. And so, like, as long as it's consistent, I'm good.
In basketball, when you dribble, you can't hold the bottom of the ball. I'm not sure if you can hold the perfect side, but it gets to be like, what's a carry is such a gray area. You could call it almost every possession or never, and both would be kind of within the bounds of basketball. And then you're allowed, I think, like 1 or 2 steps or 1.5 steps after you stop dribbling. But then there's the gather step. And the gather step is another gray area. Like, was he still dribbling and gathering the ball up? Or was that his first step? And the way that these players have the gather so figured out, it seems like they can run in all the way from the 3-point line nowadays. And it's just like, it's football, but at the end it's basketball. I said it backwards.
Min-max for sure.
Like, every once in a while, they need to make changes in sports to like keep it in the spirit of it, where they're like, I get it, you're gathering, but dribbling is so much of what we're doing here, guys. Like, it's such a key part of it. Like, we got to make sure you're doing it.
Scoring in basketball's up like crazy. So prior to like this week, last week, I think 3 players over 33 had ever scored 40 points in the playoffs. right? Over 33 years old, you can't get 40. That's ridiculous. 3 people did it last week. Like Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and another guy.
That makes me feel good. As a 34-year-old, that makes me feel pretty good. It occurred to me that like everybody on TV, you know, who's playing a sport for the most part is younger than me at this point. This happened a few years ago, actually.
I remember that phase. Yes.
Yeah, and
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
At 30, you can convince you, even though you know you're past your physical prime, there are definitely a lot of athletes having the career years at like 30 to 32, even maybe not 33, like they're not their best anymore. But 30 to 32, they have this right balance of remaining athleticism and game experience and game intelligence that they kill it. They kill it. You hit 36 and you're like, yeah, really no one's peaking anymore.
Yeah, you're winding down.
Yeah, and I don't even talk
a couple more years. If I really try, I could make something happen. Maybe.
Then, like 38-year-olds right